Isolated by the endless churning of the largest ocean on Earth, each Pacific island is a unique oasis of life and beauty. Shaped over millions of years by wind and waves, the ecosystems created on what were once barren rocks rely on the forces of nature for their survival. And it all begins with water. On many of these islands, upland areas called watersheds are the source of water for all life that exists. These watersheds capture and manage the falling rain through a natural set of filters, diversions, and storage that has provided a constant flow for a millennia. Just as watersheds are persistent features of island life, so too is climate variability. Extreme changes in weather patterns are common occurrences in the Pacific, and ecological systems like the watersheds are naturally designed to adapt to these conditions. But as the economic hubs of islands have become more urbanized and populated, island communities have become less resilient to climatic extremes and increasingly vulnerable to the effects of floods and cyclones. In Pacific Island nations like Samoa and Fiji, the same development designed to stimulate the economy instead is having long-term negative financial and physical impacts, as evidenced by the almost yearly flooding of Fiji's economic center of Nadi and the destruction caused by 2012's Cyclone Evan in Samoa.
The flood that was caused because of Cyclone Evan in December 2012 was quite devastating. It caused a lot of damages to private and public properties and infrastructure, as well as the loss of lives. It actually reveals the importance of conserving watershed areas, because it actually helped to control flood, especially during extreme heavy rainfall events.
On a reach, when the rain comes down into the tree, it falls down quite rapid into the soil, and it stays in the soil because the evaporation rate, and from there it drains out slowly into the river. If there was no tree, however, it will fall on the grass and the ground will be heated up, the soil will be harder, and the rain that will fall down will drain down faster into the floodplain.
Development occurring in the upper watersheds resulted in the clearing of native trees, as well as the proliferation of a weaker invasive species of tree. As a result, the heavy rainfall of Cyclone Evan caused greater damage to the vulnerable communities living in the floodplains below.
I'm Tunu'u Fuamuli Amituana Emisi. We're in the village of Tufuiopa, where there's a lot of water and pool. Now it's not safe anymore, and the worst part is the last cyclone with the whole flooding washed down heaps of soil that really covered up the water and the stream. So it was hard for us trying to clean that up. I think that all comes down because of years of cutting down trees up in the highlands. So now we're the one who's now affected because of all that.
Over 1,000 kilometers away in Fiji, tremendous growth in the economic center of Nadi has been equally met by considerable change in their weather patterns.
We've had massive development in the Nadi Basin. We have a change from agriculture over to urban drift in, and therefore we have a greater population to deal with. At the same time, there is obviously the data that we're collecting means that the rainfall is consistently heavier over shorter spaces of time. Thereby the ponding of water and the catchment is very serious, and drainage will have to be increased to get rid of that sitting water. Because when the inundation comes from the cyclones or any major storm, we have a stronger problem of flooding.
After the flood of 2009, the Global Environmental Fund facilitated the beginnings of a pilot project that would take root in Fiji and eventually spread through the region.
2009, Nandi was one of the areas that was really affected by the flood. And a team was formed to put together some proposals to the Global Environmental Fund for funding of how do we integratedly can address the water catchment issues of Nandi.
So a scheme was envisaged that would produce a warning system into the community, and also to make an awareness of the whole community as to what to do when the disaster came and how to conduct themselves after the disaster, so that we could get back to normal as fast as possible.
Because one of the lessons learned during the last floods, or not the last flood, but maybe the previous flood, was that there was poor coordination. One of the greatest achievements is whereby we have managed to set up these disaster management committees. We have got 28 of it now, and they are functioning well.
Me as a chairman, if I heard that in the radio or TV there's a flood warning, so it's my role, call all of my committee, we sit down, tell them what to do so they can do their own job.
Basically, IWRM, from our point of view, in the past years, like the community in the village, they used to work alone among themselves. But now we tend to work together as a community. And a testimony, maybe we would say that the district of Sanandi, as well as the Commissioner Western, who is the head of the Emergency Operations Center, they maintained the fact that Nandi, the resilience was fast. We had seen the recovery was also fast, so no lives were lost in the 2012 floods. Though it was one of the largest we ever recorded ever since we had this project.
The program is a success. It has bring about more learning lessons to the people of Fiji, and the replication of that success to the other parts of Fiji is what we want to see happen.
Back in Samoa, IWRM waged a Reach to Reef campaign that began by promoting essential land management practices in Apia's critical reeds conservation areas.
The contributions of this project was the ability to determine and prioritize key areas within the catchment that have to be started with in the conservation. Government, by way of cabinet, was informed and given all the assessments that had been undertaken by the IWRM.
One vital area in Apia's upper catchment required immediate attention. Located along a network of rivers that flow into the heart of Apia's floodplain, these Catholic lands were being subdivided and sold to private landowners, bringing untold development into a critical watershed. Samoa's Ministry of Natural Resources, along with the assistance of IWRM, moved to buy back these properties after a successful negotiating process.
This is the message. The message that we give the people is that, even if only a small piece of your land is being given up for the purpose of conserving the water and ensuring there is continuous flow, it culminates into a much bigger benefit.
Now, with the first stages of land conservation underway, IWRM began its next phase of outreach, encouraging the long-term development of island community resilience to climate variability.
Really, the essence of protecting the higher ground is to reforest all the places that's been deforested by people or farmers throughout the years. It takes 20 years for a tree to go up and protect the soil, but it only takes 1 year for it to cut down.
After the cyclone, the project also helped in clearing some of the blockages that have caused flooding within one of the urban settlements. It helped in minimizing the flood risks and at the same time the health risks.
To us and our community, we just want to say thank you very much to the donors, to the minister for helping out. It was the shoulder that really gave our village and our community the strength, letting them know that there are other people who are putting their hand in to help out. IWRM.
The efforts of IWRM have spread to all corners of the Pacific. In Palau, funds have been secured to protect a key watershed area in Aira State. And in Vanuatu, an agreement on a memorandum of understanding regarding watershed management has been reached. In the Solomon Islands, where resources are already at critical levels, further development of coastal catchments will be sure to have serious long-term economic impacts. And on Rarotonga in the Cook Islands, IWRM has supported efforts to pilot household wastewater treatment systems aimed at securing long-term socio-economic and environmental benefits associated with the world-famous Murray Lagoon. The success of these systems has resulted in the Cook Islands development partners agreeing to scale up the installation of these systems at all households in the catchment draining to Murray Lagoon. As the Pacific continues to progress towards more sustainable development of its small island developing states, the experiences and lessons learned in the application of an IWRM approach to watershed management provide a strong basis for more resilient island systems and communities. In this new era of watershed management, a more comprehensive approach to managing the entire ecosystem is required, from ridge to reef. Despite living in relative isolation, the people of the Pacific have shown how much they can accomplish with a limited amount of resources. It is this spirit of resilience and innovation that has carried these proud islanders in the past and will sustain them into the future.